When I first married Daniel, I knew that joining his life also meant becoming part of his son's world. Ethan was 12 at the time, an age when children are figuring out who they are while still clinging to pieces of childhood. I had always imagined becoming a mother someday, but I never expected that my journey would start by becoming a stepmom. It wasn't easy at first, but sometimes life has a way of teaching us lessons we didn't even know we needed. The beginning was awkward. Ethan wasn't hostile toward me, but he wasn't exactly warm either. He was polite, kept to himself, and gave me the feeling that I was an outsider who had walked into a house already filled with history and routines. I tried to respect his space, never forcing conversations or intruding into his world. Still, deep down, I hoped one day we could build a connection beyond just politeness. Daniel was patient with both of us. He reminded me often that Ethan had been through a lot. His parents' divorce had left a mark, and though Daniel and his ex-wife co-parented amicably, Ethan still carried a quiet sadness in his eyes that tugged at my heart. The first few months of marriage were filled with trial and error. I would make dinner and notice Ethan barely touched his plate, probably because it wasn't the kind of food he was used to. I would ask about his school projects, and he'd respond with a simple, "It's fine." I wanted so badly to bridge the gap, but forcing it felt wrong. Then came the day everything began to change. It was a rainy afternoon in late spring. I had been feeling overwhelmed with work, household responsibilities, and the pressure of trying to be a good stepmom. I was standing in the kitchen staring at a pile of dirty dishes when I realized tears had started to blur my vision. I hadn't even noticed Ethan had walked in until I heard his voice, soft but concerned. "Are you okay?" he asked. I quickly wiped my face, embarrassed. "I'm fine, Ethan. Just tired, that's all." But Ethan didn't walk away like I expected. Instead, he pulled out a chair and sat down at the kitchen table, watching me closely. "You don't look fine," he said. Something about his words hit me harder than I expected. Maybe it was the honesty in his tone, or maybe it was the fact that, for the first time, he seemed genuinely interested in how I was doing. I laughed nervously and admitted, "Well, I guess today has just been one of those days." He didn't say much after that, but what he did next surprised me more than anything. Ethan got up, walked over to the sink, and started washing the dishes. "You don't have to do that," I said quickly, almost guilty at the sight of him scrubbing a plate. "I know," he replied simply, "but you look like you need help." It might sound small, but in that moment, my heart swelled with gratitude. No one had asked him to step in, no one had pushed him to help, but he had noticed my struggle and decided to lighten my load. That one act of kindness, as simple as washing dishes, opened the door to a new chapter in our relationship. From that day forward, Ethan and I began to see each other differently. He started helping me more around the house, and I began to learn more about him in return. While folding laundry together, he told me about his love for basketball. While walking the dog, he confessed how much he worried about disappointing his dad. These were things he hadn't shared before, and the trust he was slowly extending to me was the most precious gift I could have asked for. Our bond grew even stronger one summer when I injured my ankle. It was nothing too serious, but it meant I couldn't move around easily for a few weeks. Daniel had to work long hours, and I worried about managing everything at home. To my surprise, Ethan stepped up without hesitation. He cooked simple meals, carried laundry baskets, and even brought me water and snacks while I rested on the couch. He did it all with a quiet determination that made me realize just how big his heart was. One evening, as he helped me to the couch, I couldn't help but smile. "Ethan, you've been amazing. I don't know what I'd do without you." He shrugged, clearly embarrassed by the praise. "I just don't like seeing you in pain," he admitted softly. That was the moment I realized that our relationship had shifted from polite coexistence to something far deeper. Ethan wasn't just my stepson. He was becoming my family in every sense of the word. Over time, our home grew warmer and more filled with laughter. I started learning how to cook meals Ethan enjoyed, and he started sharing more of his world with me. We went to his basketball games together, and I cheered louder than anyone in the stands. He even started calling me when he needed advice, something I never thought would happen. But the most heartwarming moment came on a quiet Sunday evening. We were sitting together, watching a movie, when Ethan suddenly turned to me and said, "You know, I didn't think I'd ever feel close to you. I thought you were just going to be Dad's wife. But I'm glad you're here. I think of you as family now." Tears welled up in my eyes as I hugged him tightly. That simple confession erased all the doubts and fears I'd carried since becoming a stepmom. It reminded me that love doesn't always come instantly. Sometimes it grows quietly, through small acts of kindness, patience, and the courage to let someone in. Ethan's unexpected help had changed everything, not just in my daily life, but in the way I saw myself, my role, and my place in his heart. We weren't just living in the same house anymore. We were truly becoming a family. And for me, that was the greatest gift of all.